you have to find a small business to study. It can be, if you've got your own business, you can use your own business. But if you haven't got your own business, then you can find a business that you maybe been interested in. We're not looking for any big, sexy business. It can be a hairdresser, it can be a single person, it can be anything. But a business that's been running for a year or 2 years, at least. In that, what you'll do is, first of all, try and understand where the business is now. That's what's called a strategic analysis. And out of that, you'll understand the strengths and the weaknesses, the opportunities and threats of the business. It's a good structured piece of work which allows people to understand the business. Now for people who've got their own businesses, it's a really nice way of trying to step back. You know, running your own business is a very lonely spot, because whilst you may have employees and bank managers and everything else, you are the person who's having to make all those decisions. And sometimes it helps you to step back and reflect in a sort of structured way about your business. So that's your strategic analysis. The other thing you've got to study is the entrepreneur. Because if you think about a business and the entrepreneur, you can have a business which has got great resources, money, people and everything else, and a great market opportunity. And another one with exactly the same market opportunity and the same resources, but the entrepreneurs are different. One entrepreneur wants to grow, is keen to grow, the entrepreneur is not interested in growing. Or one entrepreneur is keen to grow but hasn't got the skills. And what you're trying to do is to understand that entrepreneur. Has the entrepreneur got the attitude to growth, maybe the attitude to risk, and have got the entrepreneur got the skills to be able to manage the business and to grow it. And then once you've understood that, you then have got to try and figure out how could this business grow. So if you happen to find, as part of the study, that the business that you're studying, the entrepreneur doesn't want to grow, then you can step back and say, well, the entrepreneur did want to grow it. Here's how the entrepreneur might grow it. And you've got a structured approach to how that business might grow. So it's a really good place for somebody who's got their own business to spend some time thinking about it in a sort of a distant way. And it's also very good for you to understand business by looking at businesses which have maybe not always been interesting. One of the best business work we saw was done on a lady did it for her hairdresser. It was really, really magic piece of work. So, that's business realization.
So, all of them practical, all of them producing reports which are either for your own businesses or could make a difference to a local business here on the coast. So as a result of you gaining academic credit, they get the output of your objectivity of analysing their business and making growth recommendations.
But you don't need to show them at the same time. If you find that it's a disaster area, then you can write the report for the module and then maybe write something else.
We have had two versions of the course before. So we can have an academic one which is very honest, and then you can have a more candid one should the need arise in terms of what you can share back to an entrepreneur, which maybe has to be the case. So, where are we now? We have, as a result of the materials we've developed, we have got what we call flexible delivery, where we put tutors on the ground, but we've now spun out. So as a result of the materials that we've developed with the online support, we've got quite a lot going on in North America and Caribbean, and then taking ourselves down here as a result of Ian finding out about what we were doing and asking us to bring it here to TPP. So you get to be part of, there's what we call a virtual office hours, so you get to be part of an opportunity to be having conversations with any of these guys at a global level, but then you've got really local support as a result of the frameworks we've put in place with TPP. So there's an element you get the best of both worlds. Now some haven't used much of the virtual office hours, and that's fine. Others have decided that yes, they would like to dip in and out. The way in which we use the office hours at the moment are only what we would call SMSing, because it was to allow for bandwidths in different parts of the world. We as a teaching group have asked for that to be reviewed. We would like to have video, and we think video would be much more engaging for students. But the process that's been in place so far has just been about people, I've got a question about this, typing that in, and the tutor coming back and saying, here's a solution that we would suggest, go and read this or go and read that. But we feel that being online could be more engaging, and we're trying to look at how we could improve that. So what have our students said? It's really interesting, and you can look at the profile. That was the very first cohort that we launched in Edinburgh, which was about 7 to 8 years ago. But nobody's 21, 22 there. They're all 30, 40, 50, and deciding they want to gain a degree qualification. They talk about empowerment, people talk about having confidence, and just as a result of some of the material that you're exposed to, you think, I've been doing that for years. Oh, that's what it's called. So there's stuff that you just have actually, through the experience that you've had access to, you've maybe been looking at some of that analysis, but you now understand that somebody somewhere's given a label to it and given a particular model, and you actually have been doing it just as a result of your gut reaction. So
That's all that academics do. You know, if they're all great, they'd be all rich. All they do is they watch people doing things, study them, find which ones are successful, and then they write up a model about it and tell you, here's how it works. So it's not, you know, it's a bit like when Tiger Woods came out many, many years ago, and they said, this skinny little guy hit a ball for miles, and they videoed him and saw him twitching his arms and all these other things. Then they said, right, here's how you do it. And so they taught people how to do it. And that's all that academics do. So there's not particularly clever, they just observe and boring and then repeat and point out the point, write it all up and get kudos for it.
But the phrase that's often used is about this missing piece on the CV. We've got 3 case studies we'd like to share with you from the UK, and then we'd like to open it up to the guys in the room who are just about to complete and see what they've got out of it. Viv was one of the very earliest cohorts who studied with us. She's based in the southeast of England. She is now managing director of a family business and taken over from her husband in quite a male-dominated industry, body part repairs for cars. Okay, business is called Panelcraft, and as a result of coming through the degree, she moved over and she took over as managing director, and John stepped back to become production director. She is absolutely focused in terms of the 18 employees that they have and about the processes that they needed to put in place. And when I encouraged her to look at the master's programme, she said, no, I have to get this, take everything I've got out of BABA, and I have to actually implement it before I can think about coming on to the master's. She subsequently has, but at that point what she was absolutely focused on was applying what she had learned through her studies and making sure as an organisation they could actually take it to the scale that she believed she could, but also to get recognition within our industry. And what they did was they put themselves forward in 2014 for what was called UK Body Shop of the Year, and they were finalists. And I remember emailing me at the time and saying that they couldn't believe that an organisation as small as them had actually been in the top 3. Then I got an email this year to say they'd actually won it. So from their perspective, just being able to take what was a little bit haphazard and a little bit disorganised and actually just take the structured thinking of what the degree offered her was a means by which, as an organisation, they've been able to go and gain reputation at a UK award, and from their perspective, it just gives them something that gives both, as she says, her team a huge satisfaction in what they've actually delivered, but it gives her confidence as the managing director when she's going out and maybe bidding for, and if you look at their website, they've got Maserati approval, they've got Ferrari approval, so you know, we're talking about the Fords and the Mondeos as well, but in terms of serious car players, they are entrusted to undertake the repairs and the warranties under the authorisation and dealerships that they have in place. So she's just, the phrase, I remember asking her to speak to a prospective student, and the phrase that she used to them was, why wouldn't you? And that was what I mean. She just said, why wouldn't you? If you get the chance and you can gain a degree in a year, why wouldn't you? So I told her I was going to put her in commission and she'd go off and sell on my behalf. But she's just hugely positive because she can see the benefits that she's got out for her own organisation.
Yeah, Wendy was finished up about 3 years ago. She was ex-military and started off a cleaning business and then decided that she was going to differentiate herself by using only natural cleaners. So she's using bicarb and all that sort of stuff. And she came to us, but it was all over the place. There was no structure to her business. She was having to work harder and harder and harder. And as she came through the degree, the different parts of it, and she looked at it, she realised that what she was doing, she was the business, or she is the business. And from that, she started then to create processes and to rationalise some of the products, and eventually she became, she's gone online, and now I saw 2 days ago she's recruiting people, so her business has grown, and she's able now to focus rather than to just work harder and harder and harder doing the same thing all the time. So it's been quite a success for her as well.
I think it was, she said it was the discipline, as opposed to previously when she got more work, it meant more work for her. She'd actually started to organise the business in such a way that she could start to backfill and bring people in to do particular roles, and that's the point at which she's at now. The third one we've got is Dave Merritt, and Dave is probably our most covered from a published perspective, published as a newspaper cover. He is in his 50s. He is the managing director of an electrical engineering business in the southeast of England, and he just said he got to the point, he's got about 30 employees, he just said he just felt in terms of the organisation of the business, he felt he could make a difference if he had more objective thinking. His brother was a fellow director, so there was a family dimension, which didn't always necessarily mean that they were on the same page, and he would talk about the challenges of what he wanted to do to take the business forward, but he equally was very comfortable in the local country environment and was an element of, well, we've got okay business, so can we not just stand still? But he actually had realised he couldn't stand still. And what he talks...
He was also lacking a hell of a lot of confidence as well, because his daughters had both been to university, and his wife had got a technology qualification, so he's feeling a wee bit exposed, so he wanted to do something on that as well. So he really was, when we met him at first, he said, look, I'm just a plumber. He runs a very nice heating engineering business, but he said, I'm just a plumber. I said, well, excellent. But since then, he'd worked very hard at BABE, got a cracking result in it, and eventually decided he was going to do MEL, which is our master's not related. When we said to him, he thought, no. And then he said, yeah, maybe I'll have a go. And so he did that as well. And part of his dissertation for the masters was to do a project on apprenticeships, about which he's very passionate, because he's had several apprentices in his business who have, after a couple of years, just got up and leave the business and become competitors, which he thinks is all wrong. So he did a huge amount of work on it, looked at other countries, and then was invited to talk to the UK House of Lords about it, to the Department of Employment, and he's now the local sort of ambassador, contact
two of the colleges.
For two of the colleges about the whole issue of apprenticeship. So he's just grown out of all proportion as a consequence of coming into BABE.
Yeah. And I think if you'd said to him in the space of, he came straight out of the degree and straight into the masters, and he's one of the few who have done that, but if you'd said to him in the space of just over 3 years, he would have gone from not having a degree qualification to actually having a master's. But we've got pictures on, this is one that's in the local press, these pile of books, but you know, as he said, to actually go to the House of Lords and talk about his work and what he had been doing, he said he just couldn't have said to him on his week one in BABE that would have happened. So it's all these baby steps and the doors that open and the conversations that you have and the ways in which, if you take those opportunities, those can lead just one after the other to the situation that he's in. And you know, that it's just the satisfaction for him of sitting with his master's qualification, but also the growth potential of his business now, that he believes. And he talks there about giving you a lot more confidence, better equipped, improve the business, but he also talks about bringing his staff with him, because he has the confidence to lead them now, as opposed to just letting them do stuff, which he thought was the right thing to do, but it wasn't under the EC Merit philosophy. It's now under the EC Merit philosophy, and he knows the contribution that they should be making. A couple of quotes there, but maybe, can we maybe swing some light and just maybe ask a couple of, yep. Perfect timing. We've got Shelley, we've got Russell, we've got Neil Yup. We're currently on BABE. They've got their last module, their last assessment coming up. But do you want to maybe just stand up and swing round, and just so that everybody knows who you are.
The victims.
Yeah. Right.
Maybe just a couple of...
Yes.
I think one of the things that's come, and Ian said it already, just anything that you could say in terms of, we're not looking, Ian's given us the 5-minute warning on the time, but just anything that you could offer up as the usefulness that I think for many people thinking coming into a degree, I might get value out of it eventually, but what now? You're sneaking in the back, Fiata. You didn't see that. You should be up here as well. Come on, get round. That's because you weren't in the front row. I didn't see you again. So, Russell, you go first.
Why wouldn't you?
That's Viv's words.
Yeah, the reason I got into it was for exactly the reasons that have been up on the board. That I've been in business, well, I've been working for close on 40 years. I've been managing businesses for probably 20 to 25 of those years, and doing it by experience and getting very stable in that experience. So when this came along, in this environment that we're all in, it really was a why wouldn't you do it? Because things aren't getting any better around this area. So we need the tools to be able to diversify, to be able to change, to look at ways to grow in different areas in our businesses. And everything that was in the course outlines what we need to do.
Julia?
Well, I changed careers, so, and although I was gaining experience and chucking in deep in to become a project manager, I soon realized that I want that much deeper theory knowledge to support my experience. And yeah, I struggled a bit because I couldn't find anything that was practical and hands-on enough to actually help me in my everyday job. So when this came up, I thought, I'm going to do this. And I promise you, within the first week, I met a client and he said to me, oh, I can't do this. I'm not creative. I'm not an innovative person. And I said, you can, because it's a process. You can learn this. And these are the steps that you need to follow to get there. And from there on, I worked with my clients and was quite amazed because suddenly you have a much deeper understanding of the issues they have been going through. I used one of my clients as my business growth issues module as an example. And yeah, amazing support from them, and it was tough going because they were flat out and life happens on this side, but we got it through, and same thing, very, very positive experience, so it's really hands-on.
Shelley?
So I'm an owner-operator of a business in Hokitika, so we have 6 staff, including us, and I did it because I wanted a degree. At the end of the day, I wanted to say it. And so I've done the New Zealand diploma through LETAC, and so this was building on for it. But like these guys, it has really changed our business. So instead of being about us, the 2 directors or owners, we've made a team. So everyone has their input. Yes, we do have the final decisions, but we're now being more innovative and more creative. And just recently, 3 months ago, we took over the Still franchise. So we were doing business growth. At the time, we were looking at taking this over. And so it was a really good tool to say, yes, this is a great decision, let's go for it. So that's me.
Rosa?
I started doing the diploma in business with Kate and Ian, and I never thought I would do a degree, but when this came up, I thought, oh, I'll give it a try, and I did, and I think I've gained a lot of confidence from it, and I'm really enjoying the work-based learning part of it because I'm learning a lot at work through my work-based learning project. And
Okay, thank you. You're going to jump away in case I ask you any questions. For us, pudding. We can tell you about the structure, we can tell you about the module descriptor, we can tell you about the assessments, but grab a drink, talk to them, because they're going through it. They're not quite finished yet, and they're going to feel the heat in the next 5 weeks, because there's always that bottleneck as we get the two finished together. But you've got 4 here who are on it, and if you want to know more, then I suggest you have a chat with them. Aidan and myself are here, Kate and Ian are here, so just if any questions you have, thank you for coming along and listening, but very much hope that you do want to sign up and take on the chance to, as Russell says, why wouldn't you?
Big thanks to our visitors. Good to hear from them, 12,000 miles away. I'm not going to go on and on. We know we have our issues on the coast in the future. These folk have been writing about some of them and so on. Something has to be done, really, and we are speaking here of one way of doing it and hoping that people won't be afraid to have a reach for it and in fact get value from this sort of study and this sort of education. I don't want to run New Zealanders down. I've been on the coast for a number of years. Compared with, say, Scotland and other places like this, New Zealand has a well-known problem that we are undereducated in business. And so, here we are. Thanks for coming. Have a drink. Talk to the people that have been doing it. Talk to these guys. Talk to me if you want to. That's fine. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
That's not, I mean, they place them in, I don't think it's really not as bad as we used to. I think one you need to kind of practice and to rid of that's what you want to so you're learning, you do your reading, you go back, you do your quick assessment, and you move on to the next step. Yes, everything is online, and be about 6 weeks. You do your research, but the learning center have done how to support
Once you get this sort
it's just putting it together. Yeah.
Because it's, there are no
Yeah, that's it.
you pay for the equivalent of it's just I don't actually do anything on I go online and get information. And every module you're going to put through modules. And you will use it to
I'll reach a stage where I've got
But we're actually just going through visions of the future sort of thing. We've just been
And at the end of the day, you just prioritize because you have to. Yes, but I don't know.
So I've done
And at the end of the day, if you cope with that. Oh, you'll laugh on Personally, you get just so much out of it. Really, it's confidence, it's knowledge, it gives you that empowerment that you actually know what you're talking about. That makes a big difference You see, normally it's always the other way around. The boss is always pushing and pulling you.